Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program. Today we are going to be taking a break from the space station and from our satellite network, although I do have to fix the satellite network around the MUN because it's all screwed up. What we're going to be doing today is launching a new satellite. This satellite is actually a really cool one. It's the Ordan Industrial Satellite Pack. So I installed the FAR mod as well. Let's go ahead and get that out of the way. Basically, it's the Hubble Space Telescope, and it's pretty darn neat. It doesn't have a lot of purpose. It's just kind of a cool thing that you can do. Right now, there's not really any point to observatory stuff, but eventually in the future, I guess there are going to be places that you can explore and stuff. I'm not sure if you can use a space telescope to do it. I think they're going to put an observatory down here, but it's still pretty neat. So I am going to go ahead and modify this a little bit though, because I want it to be compatible with my remote tech stuff, which it is not immediately. All of my probe bodies from now on have to be controlled by radio. We're not going to have any that aren't, which means I'm going to have to use a regular probe body, and I think I can clip it inside of here if I do this right. I've done this before. Where did the probe go? There it is. I go like... do it just so you can get to kind of clip inside, and that's not inside. Oh, there we go. That means I'll have to put some sort of, I don't know, radial decouplers on this or something so that I can do that. But I'm gonna go ahead and build a rocket and get this thing ready to go, so I'll be back in a minute or two. Alright, well, I'm going to use this medium-sized lifter that I've been using lately because this thing's actually a little bit on the heavy side, so I want to make sure that it actually has enough oomph to get up into orbit. If you look inside of here, in addition to the probe, I clipped in an SAS module and a couple of batteries so that this thing will have a little bit better battery life, because the battery life is not very good on it right now. So that ought to help it last a little bit longer. There's also, let me just make sure that that's actually in there. There's also an antenna so that it will stay in contact. There's an antenna here. And I believe it's pretty much ready to go at this point. Now, as far as I understand, the real-life Hubble Space Telescope is in an orbit, a very low orbit, like barely outside of the atmosphere. It actually is affected by the, the outer atmosphere a little bit. And it's at like a 22 or 20 something degree pitch, the inclination on the orbit. I'm going to go for like a 500,000 meter, a 500 kilometer orbit. And I think I'm going to go for, I believe it's like 22.5 inclination that it has. That way it scans more of the sky as it orbits, it'll be high and low and whatnot as we go around the sun. So that seems to make sense to me. I'm going to engage the autopilot. That thing is kind of wiggly. I hope it's all right. I think everything looks good to go. Alright, cool. That's not wiggly at all. But one thing I really like about this remote tech mod is that it has mech-jeb control, which means that the mech-jeb unit does not have delayed input, which makes sense because if it's supposed to be a flight computer, a flight computer probably would have, it wouldn't have need for direct radio contact. It would be able to make some of its own decisions and whatnot based on its program that would be beamed up. So I like that it does that. So it's only if we're directly controlling probes that the delay is even an issue with this. So I think that's kind of realistic, and I'm enjoying this mod because it's going to make things a lot more challenging. We lost contact with the polar rover, that was the construction rover, because it didn't have an antenna on it, and I believe we lost contact with my key. Oh god, what just happened? Huh. That's odd. Huh. Well, we gotta go redesign something here, because that's a bit of a problem. Why did that happen? Goodbye, rocket. This thing must not have been attached very well. Wait, the decoupler is still attached here. The remote tech pod just disconnected for some reason. Huh. I was using this instead of one of the little probe bodies because I didn't want to deal with having like the tiny little probe. This one's the same diameter as the rocket, so it looked better and kind of worked better, but some sort of attachment problem has obviously happened here. I wonder if it must have been attached at one point because the rocket took off. Well, this is going to be a little bit of a hard landing. It's a little bit worse than the problem than the Hubble Space Telescope had, to be honest. I'm not sure we're going to be able to just launch a mission to fix this one. I think we need the backup telescope. Alright, well let's go back to the drawing board and figure out what actually happened there. That was odd. Maybe I need to... It must be the FAR mod. That's the only thing that's changed recently. It's gotta be that. Let's go ahead and add... Anytime anything goes awry in Kerbal Space Program, what do? You add struts. So let's go ahead and do that. I don't really know if that's attached to anything in particular there now. I assume that that is. It's hard to say. I guess we'll find out. Well, that was unfortunate. That was very unfortunate. Well, let's hope that things go a little bit better. What do I have? 22.5 degree inclination. Engage that. Let's stop at stage 1. Alright. It wasn't even really wobbling or anything. That's odd. Very odd. Did I put 2 mech jet? I did put 2 mech jet units on this thing. I had symmetry on stuff. Oh well. It doesn't really matter. But anyway, I forgot what I was even saying before that happened. That took me by surprise there. Well, I guess barring another unexpected separation here, I'll meet you guys up in orbit. Yep, it happened again. It happened again. What the heck is going on here? I don't get it. Well, we don't really need this RCS fuel anyway right now because this is not going to be utilizing any of that. I mean, that's attached. What the hell do you want from me? I don't know what to say, man. Yeah, I don't think that strut is doing a darned thing like that. What if I like went all the way up to that? That looks pretty connected to me. And then this is doing what exactly now? This is an odd problem. I've not really had this issue before. It's very hard to attach any of these struts to anything here. There we go. Let's put on 3. You really cannot overstrut things, so fingers crossed, and hopefully this time I really will make it to orbit. I wish I would remember what my inclination was. It annoys me that I have to change this every single time. It's not that big of a deal, but it is slightly annoying. It's very strange because I don't even see... it hasn't even been wobbling. It just all of a sudden decides that it doesn't want to be attached anymore. I'm sure it's the FAR mod that's doing it. I would bet dollars to donuts that it's the drag is doing something. Because there's not been an issue with my stuff not staying attached before. Alright. We seem to be going a lot faster than terminal velocity, too. That must have changed due to the FAR mod, because I have it set to limit to terminal velocity, but it's not limiting. Yeah, and it just disconnected again. It is that we're losing our... This is an odd problem. Why is this thing so unstable now? Can you recover? It might recover. It didn't disconnect this time. I did not expect the FAR mod to cause quite so many issues there. I mean, I guess it's really flat on the top. I don't have any fairings and stuff. Maybe I need fairings. I don't rightly know. At least this time it seems like it might recover. We're almost out of the atmosphere. This FAR mod might have just screwed everything up terribly. Because if I have to use fairings on everything, that's going to be an issue. And I really did seem to be able to accelerate like far too quickly. I don't know why the limit to terminal velocity thing didn't seem to be working, but it definitely did not seem to be working. I'm gonna have to look into that. Sometimes crazy things happen when you get too many mods going together. We're definitely picking up some freaking altitude, man. And this is pretty neat. You can see our radio signal there. We'll see all kinds of relay stuff happen in a little bit here, which is always exciting. I really like the relay system. Alright, and drop the next stage. Yeah, we're fine now that we're out of the atmosphere, pretty much. Huh. I guess I could have just put like a nose cone on the top of it or something. If I have to have fairings for everything, that's going to complicate things a lot. Which I assume I probably do, because if it's more realistic, well, you need fairings for things. Alright, so now we'll get to warp up to our to our apoapsis and bring the periapsis up. This is going to be a decent orbit. Rather Hubble-like, I suppose. It does seem to have actually fixed the inclination, so that's good. That was crazy times. See, there we go. The blue line just switched over to one of these relay satellites. That's actually not even... That's just a map satellite. That's not even exactly a relay, but it does have a radio on it, so anything like that will act like a relay. And that's one of the actual communication satellites now. My polar satellites seem to be working out very well still. I'm glad I got those orbits corrected the right way last time. Alright, so we're coming up on our final orbit. I've only had the FAR mod installed for a very short time, so I'm still kind of getting used to it. I guarantee you it's probably because I didn't have a fairing on this thing and it's all flat on the top. Would you get under control here, please? Thank you. Alright, let's go ahead and close the stupid maneuver because it didn't finish it. Remove the node because that bothers me having that down there. Now, there's not a battery on this thing, I just realized, so we're going to have to ditch pretty quick and deorbit this thing before anything goes too awry with that. So let's get facing prograde first. And we'll decouple the satellite. Unfortunately, I'm going to lose a lot of this maneuverability when we ditch the satellite as well, because it's got a lot more torque than I think this thing does. Although I think the remote tech parts have more torque than the standard probes because they're bigger, which is good. Alright, lock her off. And decouple. The satellite is good to go. Let's get those panels extended so it doesn't die. That looks pretty cool. Now, before we deal with that, though, we're going to go ahead and swing on around. Yeah, the electrical charge is going down pretty quick here. Why is that? Is one of the mech jebs on? Did I lose control? Is that probe body not even connected? It says I'm out of contact. There's a radio on this. Is there not? I thought I put a radio on this thing. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh, that's a darn shame, isn't it? Really? No radio. Huh. 2 mech jebs and no radio. That's real bright. Well, anyway, let's get the space telescope going at least then. So, I really like the way that this thing actually functions. It's a little bit hard to control just because it's really not, you know, it's a mod. It's kind of a little hacked together, this one. It's not something the game was really intended to do. The controls are not super precise for this. The sensitivity has been turned down, meaning it's a little bit easier to stabilize your target, but it's still not that easy. So let's go ahead and open up the aperture, the lens guard here, which looks super awesome. And I'm going to flip this over just because it annoys me being upside down, even though there's really no up and down in space. Alright, so what shall we look at first of all here, I guess? Well, I guess the sun's right there. What else is around here? We got... Well, the moon's over there. Let's take a look at Minmus, or that's Tylo. Where's Minmus? Start with something relatively close by. Now, the easiest thing to do is to try to set your target that way, because now we have this little doohickey that shows up down here, and it's a lot easier to aim. So, if we go down here... Now we have to try to see the little sparkle, which should be down here somewhere. No, that's it right there, isn't it? Okay, so let's activate the camera. What are we looking at? I thought I opened the lens. Oh, I did. Okay. Oh, there she is. There she is. Turn on the fine controls, make this just a little bit easier. Yeah, so that's pretty much how it works. You can see it's kind of cool that these models load from this distance. They're not the high resolution versions of the They're not the high resolution versions, obviously, but I think it's still pretty cool that you can see all this stuff. I'm really looking forward to when they add other solar systems and stuff, which is something that is going to happen apparently at some point. You'll have to discover other stuff, which is pretty darn neat. I approve of that. Let's take a look and try to find what else we can look at. If you look at Kerbal, it looks like crap just because it's you know, it's only got the texture that it's got. We can look at our drift fuel pod here. Get some nice detail on that thing. But yeah, if you look at the actual planet, it doesn't look that great because it doesn't load the high resolution textures because it's not meant to. That would be silly. So where is the sun? I want to look at the sun. Sun's back this way somewhere. And we're getting a lot of light in here. There she is. Easy does it. Slow it down. I've never been close to the sun. I know they added a surface to the sun a while ago, like in several versions ago. It used to just be a ball of light, but it actually has like a physical property to it. I think you can actually see some detail here. Looks like a star. I want to get up to the edge of it, so let's drift on up. Yep, there it is. I kind of wish, I don't remember what that's called, but I wish you could put like the little black circle thingy here so that you could actually just study the corona and you could have like a solar observatory. That'd be kind of neat if you could do that, because there's a lot we need to learn about the sun still. Now, one thing that gets kind of screwed up with this mod, from my understanding, is sometimes, yeah, see, like, the orbits of everything get all screwed up. It doesn't actually affect them, of course, but it does kind of screw up targeting. That's Jewel there. Let's set Jewel as a target, try to get a look at that system, because that's another thing I've never seen myself. Looks like we need to swing over this way. Jewel's going to be a little bit harder to target. Have to be looking for the little sparkling thing off in the distance. It's near the mud. Alright, is that Jewel? Yeah, I see something sparkling right there. That's probably Jewel right there. Yep, that's Jewel. You see all its moons. Someday we'll get there. This is a difficult thing to control. I'm kind of abusing the SAS to try to stabilize, and as you can see, it's still kind of wiggly. But yeah, there's some of its moons. I think that, is that Tylo? That one? I don't know my moons that well out there because I have never been there. And that looks like it's Tylo, the one with the water. Holy moly, man. Calm down. There we go. Yeah, that's water, all right. Or that's Lathe. That's Lathe. I remember that now. So yeah, we will get there eventually. It will be cool. And one other thing I'm curious about. Where is that super duper far out planet that I can't even remember the name of? It's a little hard to tell because the orbital map is all messed up. Elo? Can we see Elo from here? And where's the sparkle? This one might be just a little bit harder to target because Jewel's huge and Elo is definitely not huge. Just scanning nice and slow. Well, Elo's proving a little bit hard to actually track down. It's at its far part of the orbit, so it may just be a little bit too far for me to be very accurate with. I thought I saw a sparkle once or twice, but I don't see it now, so we're just going to let Elo be. But yeah, this mod's pretty cool. Like I said, there's not a lot of purpose to it, but I think it's still pretty darn neat to be able to look at stuff like this. And it actually adds another camera that you can put on any ship. That is actually pretty darn cool. So we'll probably be putting cameras on some of our vessels as they go out and explore, because I think that's kind of neat that they exist. I'm going to have to do something about this stupid probe. I don't like to end flight, but I think I might just end the flight on it because, well, I thought I'd put a remote, a radio on that, but apparently I didn't, which sucks. So I'm just going to pretend like I did. Maybe it fell off on the way up. There's actually a good chance it could have fallen off, I guess. Well, with everything being so screwed up on the way up. That's actually kind of likely. But, anyway, guys, I will catch you next time. Thanks for watching.